Now, for hundreds of years, the buried city of Pompeii has given archaeologists astonishing snapshots of life in ancient Rome.
Imagine stepping into a city frozen in time, where every street, every home, and every alleyway hides secrets buried for nearly 2,000 years.
The destruction at Pompeii has really captured people's imagination, particularly with the preserved bodies. Thousands frozen in time at the very moment of a horrifying death.
Pompeii wasn't just covered in ash, it was paused, like someone hit the ultimate pause button on life itself. Now, archaeologists are peeling back the layers and finding things that are shocking, eerie, and sometimes even hilarious. From carbonized bodies and hidden graffiti to secret temples and frozen meals, today we're counting down 19 of the most insane discoveries ever found beneath Pompeii's ash. 19. The carbonized victims. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, the city of Pompeii was buried under a thick blanket of ash and pumice. For the people caught in the eruption, there was no escape. But here's the eerie twist. The ash preserved their final moments in incredible detail. Archaeologists discovered bodies frozen in lifelike poses, some cowering, others clutching loved ones, perfectly captured in time. These carbonized victims aren't just skeletons. They tell stories of fear, love, and the sheer chaos of that day. The preservation was made possible through a clever technique called plaster casting. Archaeologists poured liquid plaster into the voids left by decomposed bodies in the hardened ash. Once the plaster set, it created an exact mold of the person, down to the wrinkles in their clothing and the terrified expression on their face. Walking past these casts is both haunting and fascinating, giving a window into the human side of history. What's even more fascinating is that scientists can study these bodies to learn about age, diet, and even diseases of ancient Pompeians. Each cast is like a time capsule, offering a chilling but educational glimpse into life and death, frozen forever by nature's fury. 18. Graffiti messages. Think of ancient Pompeii as a city full of text messages, except instead of smartphones, people wrote on walls with charcoal or paint. Archaeologists have uncovered graffiti scrawled on streets, homes, and public buildings, revealing a surprisingly witty, emotional, and sometimes naughty side of everyday life. From political slogans to personal love notes, these messages give us a peek into what people thought, felt, and argued about nearly 2,000 years ago. Some graffiti is hilarious. One wall reads, "We two dear men, friends forever, we're here. If you want to know our names, they are Gaius and Aulus." Others are more dramatic, like curses or threats against neighbors. Lovers left heart-melting notes, declaring eternal devotion. Imagine stumbling across a 2,000-year-old "I love you" scribbled in charcoal. It's basically the ancient version of texting your crush. Graffiti also reveals the social and political dynamics of Pompeii. Citizens mocked politicians, commented on gladiators, and even advertised their services, like taverns or baths. In a city frozen by catastrophe, these simple wall writings become voices from the past, letting us connect with people who lived, laughed, and loved centuries ago. In short, graffiti transforms Pompeii from dusty ruins into a vibrant, lively city where humor, romance, and politics were alive, literally etched into the walls for us to read today. 17. Preserved villas with frescoes. Pompeii wasn't just ash and debris, it was also a city of luxury and art. Beneath the layers, archaeologists uncovered villas that feel like time machines, preserving frescoes, mosaics, and decorations exactly as they were nearly 2,000 years ago. Walking through these villas is like stepping into an ancient Instagram feed, where every wall and floor tells a story about wealth, style, and daily life. Some frescoes depict mythological scenes with gods, heroes, and fantastical creatures, while others show more mundane life, banquets, gardens, and even playful, erotic imagery. The colors, remarkably intact, hint at the sophistication of Roman artistry. Each room, from bedrooms to dining halls, showcases the homeowner's taste, status, and attention to detail. Floors often feature intricate mosaic, sometimes depicting animals or geometric patterns, revealing a love for both nature and design. What's even more fascinating is how these villas give insight into the lives of Pompeii's elite. Kitchens reveal cooking methods, dining rooms reflect social rituals, and private chambers show personal leisure activities. These preserved homes aren't just beautiful, they're evidence of a society that valued art, comfort, and culture, frozen forever by the eruption. 16. The Lupanar brothel discoveries. One of the most scandalous and fascinating finds in Pompeii is the Lupanar, the city's ancient brothel. It might sound shocking, but this discovery is a goldmine for understanding daily life, social norms, and humor in Roman times. Walls are decorated with erotic frescoes, depicting acts that were meant to guide, entertain, or amuse clients. These images weren't taboo in Pompeii, they were part of normal life, offering both instruction and humor. The Lupanar also provides insight into the structure of Roman businesses and urban life. Small rooms with stone beds show how the brothel operated efficiently, and inscriptions reveal prices, names, and even the popularity of certain workers. Some graffiti outside the brothel boast sexual exploits or ratings, showing that even in 79 AD, people had a cheeky sense of humor. It's not just about the Lupanar sheds light on social hierarchies, gender roles, and the economic importance of these establishments. Visiting it is like stepping into a provocative classroom of history, where human desire, business, and humor intersect. Archaeologists now see it as a vital piece of Pompeii's puzzle, revealing a city that was vibrant, open, and surprisingly modern in its attitudes. But the surprises don't stop at homes and graffiti. Pompeii's streets hide food, fighters, and even pets, frozen in time. 15. Thermopolium food counters. If you think fast food is a modern invention, think again. In Pompeii, archaeologists uncovered thermopolia, ancient fast food counters where residents could grab a quick meal. These counters, often decorated with colorful frescoes, had large clay jars embedded in the stone, which kept food warm. Imagine walking up, picking a stew or a bread roll, and enjoying lunch just like a Roman citizen nearly 2,000 years ago. The contents of some thermopolia were astonishingly preserved. Carbonized food remnants, from grains and legumes to small fish, have been found, giving scientists a glimpse of what Pompeians actually ate. Herbs, spices, and cooking tools also survived, allowing researchers to reconstruct recipes and culinary habits. Even the layout of these counters shows a clever understanding of food service and urban planning. These food spots weren't just for the lower class. Evidence shows everyone, from laborers to wealthy citizens, stopped by to grab a bite. Some thermopolia were lavishly decorated, demonstrating that presentation mattered as much as taste. Visiting one today is like stepping into a bustling Roman street, complete with the smells, colors, and flavors of ancient life. They remind us that even under the looming threat of Vesuvius, daily life and lunch went on. 14. The skeleton of the Gladiator. Pompeii was a city of entertainment, and one of its most fascinating finds is the skeleton of a gladiator. Gladiators were professional fighters, often slaves or prisoners, who battled in arenas for sport and spectacle. Discovering a skeleton provides a rare, intimate glimpse into their lives, the injuries, training, and even diet that made them warriors. Archaeologists found evidence of broken bones, healed injuries, and muscle attachments, showing that gladiators endured grueling physical stress. Some remains also contained traces of calcium and carbon isotopes, revealing a diet rich in grains and plant-based foods, nicknamed the Gladiator diet. These fighters weren't just strong, they were resilient, trained athletes of their time. The skeleton also tells a story of social status and survival. Despite being enslaved or marginalized, gladiators could gain fame, wealth, or even freedom if they survived long enough. Their lives were dangerous, but their cultural impact was massive, inspiring art, graffiti, and even modern films. Studying the skeleton transforms the gladiator from a distant legend into a real person who lived, fought, and faced death in the heart of ancient Pompeii. 13. Pets frozen in ash. Pompeii wasn't just full of humans, it was a city of animals too. Archaeologists discovered dogs, cats, and other pets frozen in ash, sometimes curled up in their homes or chained in yards. These frozen companions provide a heartwarming yet heartbreaking glimpse into everyday life and the suddenness of the eruption. One famous cast shows a dog lying on its side, ears perked as if listening to commands. Another reveals a chained animal, forever waiting for its owner to return. Even chickens, pigs, and small farm animals have been found, highlighting the diversity of life in the city. These casts are not just emotional, they're scientifically valuable, helping researchers understand domestic animal breeds, diets, and human-animal relationships in ancient Rome. Pets weren't merely companions, they were part of the household economy and security. Dogs guarded homes, while cats helped control pests. The preservation of these animals under ash allows us to see the full ecosystem of Pompeii, from the largest elite villas to the smallest corners of daily life, frozen in a moment of time. It's a reminder that history isn't just about humans, it's about all the lives that shared their world. 12. Hidden garden and greenhouses. Pompeii wasn't just stone streets and buildings. Some homes hid secret gardens and greenhouses that reveal how Romans brought nature into their city life. Archaeologists uncovered spaces filled with planting beds, water channels, and even decorative plants, showing that greenery was both aesthetic and practical. Gardens weren't just pretty, they reflected wealth, status, and a connection to nature in the middle of a bustling city. These hidden gardens often contained herbs, vegetables, and flowers. Some greenhouses allowed delicate plants to thrive despite seasonal changes, demonstrating advanced Roman horticulture. Walking through these spaces, you can imagine the scent of blooming flowers, the sound of trickling water, and the calm respite they offered from the crowded streets outside. Gardens also played social roles. Banquets, philosophical discussions, and leisure activities often took place outdoors, blending architecture with nature. Some villas even featured elaborate fountains or statues, showing the blend of artistry and nature. These discoveries highlight that Romans appreciated beauty, balance, and practicality, turning simple courtyards into thriving green spaces. Hidden gardens remind us that amidst tragedy, Pompeii's residents valued life, nature, and luxury, a lesson preserved beneath layers of ash. 11. The Forum's secret chambers. Beneath Pompeii's bustling forum, the city's political, social, and commercial hub, archaeologists discovered secret chambers and hidden rooms that reveal the behind-the-scenes life of ancient Rome. These spaces held official documents, tools, and sometimes treasures, offering a glimpse into civic administration and everyday politics. Some chambers contained writing tablets with public records, contracts, and even notes about gladiatorial games. Other rooms appear to have been private offices or storage areas for important civic objects. These hidden chambers show that even in a city open to public life, secrets and private operations were carefully maintained. The discovery of these rooms also helps archaeologists understand urban planning. Hidden passages and storage areas reveal how Romans maximized space and controlled access to critical areas. They highlight a mix of transparency and secrecy in governance, showing that political life in Pompeii wasn't just ceremonial, it was complex and practical. Exploring these chambers allows us to imagine the whispers, decisions, and strategies that shaped city life. Beneath the Forum, Pompeii's residents managed trade, laws, and public events, frozen in time, waiting to tell their stories. 10. Buried amphitheaters and sports arenas. Pompeii loved entertainment, and amphitheaters and sports arenas were central to public life. Archaeologists uncovered arenas buried under layers of ash, revealing the scale of Roman spectacles. From gladiatorial battles to theatrical performances, these arenas were where the city came alive with cheers, blood, and drama. The structures are impressive. Stone seating, viewing galleries, and fighting pits show careful architectural planning. Evidence of gladiator training areas, entrances for performers, and holding pens for animals tells us how organized these events were. Sometimes, remnants of armor, weapons, or props survive, offering a tangible link to the past. These arenas weren't just about violence, they were also social spaces, gathering citizens of all classes, from wealthy elites to laborers. The amphitheaters illustrate the Romans' love of spectacle, community, and competition, highlighting entertainment as a vital part of city culture. By studying the buried arenas, archaeologists can reconstruct the rhythm of daily life, excitement, fear, and celebration all frozen under Pompeii's ash. They remind us that even in a city doomed by a volcanic eruption, humans loved stories, thrill, and communal experiences just like we do today. And just when you think Pompeii has revealed enough secrets, archaeologists uncovered a hidden temple that will blow your mind. A monumental discovery frozen in time. 9. The recently discovered temple. The most jaw-dropping find beneath Pompeii, a massive, previously hidden temple tucked away beneath layers of volcanic ash, untouched for nearly 2,000 years. This isn't just any temple, it's enormous, intricately decorated, and full of clues about the spiritual life of Pompeii's citizens. Archaeologists are calling it a game changer for understanding Roman religion. Inside, the walls are adorned with frescoes, depicting gods, rituals, and mythological scenes in vivid colors that have survived remarkably well. Columns, altars, and ceremonial spaces reveal the scale and importance of the site, suggesting it was a central hub for worship rather than a minor shrine. Offerings, pottery, and even small figurines have been preserved, giving scholars insight into the daily devotional practices of the people who lived there. What makes this temple so exciting is its hidden nature. Buried under streets and homes, it remained invisible until modern excavations uncovered it, reminding us that Pompeii still has secrets waiting to be revealed. The discovery also sheds light on previously unknown religious practices, suggesting that faith in Pompeii was diverse, dynamic, and deeply intertwined with public and private life. Walking through the newly uncovered temple, one can almost hear the chants, prayers, and footsteps of worshippers long gone. It's a moment where history feels alive, offering a vivid, tangible connection to the people who lived, prayed, and built their lives under the shadow of Vesuvius. This temple isn't just a ruin, it's a time machine into the spiritual heart of ancient Pompeii, the ultimate climax in a city full of astonishing secrets. 8. Temple ruins and religious artifacts. Even before the recently discovered temple, Pompeii had plenty of evidence of religious life. Archaeologists uncovered temple ruins and religious artifacts scattered throughout the city, revealing the spiritual heartbeat of its citizens. Small shrines, statues of gods and goddesses, and altars were common in homes and public spaces, showing that worship wasn't just a public affair, it was part of everyday life. The artifacts are fascinating. Tiny figurines, pottery with offerings, and inscriptions show the wide range of deities honored, from household gods like Lares and Penetas to major Roman gods such as Jupiter and Venus. Archaeologists also found ceremonial tools, incense burners, and votive objects, suggesting rituals were performed for health, protection, and prosperity. These discoveries reveal that religion in Pompeii was deeply integrated into both private and public life. Citizens prayed, offered gifts, and celebrated festivals, blending spirituality with daily routines. By studying these artifacts, we gain insight into the moral values, fears, and hopes of Pompeii's residents. Even in a city eventually destroyed by Vesuvius, the remains of temples and sacred objects remind us that people sought connection with forces larger than themselves. Religion shaped behavior, architecture, and art, leaving a lasting imprint on the city that modern archaeologists continue to uncover. 7. The bakery with carbonized bread. Pompeii's streets were filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread until Vesuvius froze that moment in time. Archaeologists discovered bakeries with carbonized bread loaves, ovens, and baking tools preserved under layers of ash. These ancient bakeries offer an unprecedented glimpse into the city's daily diet and commerce. The bread itself is fascinating. Carbonized loaves maintain their shape, size, and even the scoring patterns used by bakers. Some ovens contained multiple batches, showing that bread was baked on a large scale to feed the population. Archaeologists also found mills, dough-kneading areas, and storage vessels, illustrating a sophisticated understanding of production and supply. These bakeries weren't just food spots, they were social hubs. Citizens would gather, trade news, and share meals. Even the carbonized remains tell a story of the people's routines and culinary culture. Studying the tools and ovens helps researchers understand Roman cooking techniques, ingredients, and daily life in remarkable detail. In short, these bakeries turn ash-covered ruins into living kitchens of history, letting us taste, in our imagination, the flavors and smells that fueled Pompeii every day. They remind us that food is both survival and culture, even frozen in time. 6. Medical tools and instruments. Pompeii was more than houses and temples. It was also a city concerned with health and healing. Archaeologists have uncovered medical tools, surgical instruments, and remedies, showing that Roman medicine was surprisingly advanced. Scalpel-like knives, forceps, and probes suggest that procedures such as wound care, minor surgeries, and dental work were practiced with skill. Some tools were made of bronze and iron, designed for precision. Excavations also revealed containers for herbs, ointments, and medicinal substances, hinting at a mix of practical and herbal remedies. These finds show that Pompeians cared about hygiene, treatment, and even surgical intervention, centuries before modern hospitals. The discovery of medical instruments also tells us about social priorities. Wealthy households sometimes had private physicians, while public spaces contained shared tools and facilities for common citizens. Medicine wasn't just for the elite, it was an essential part of community life. By studying these tools, archaeologists gain insight into diseases, injuries, and health practices of the time. From simple bandaging to complex procedures, Pompeii's medical discoveries demonstrate ingenuity and care, reminding us that even in a city on the brink of disaster, humans strived to heal and survive. 5. The Greco-Roman Library. Pompeii wasn't just a city of streets and temples, it was also a place of knowledge. Archaeologists discovered evidence of libraries and writing materials, including tablets, scrolls, and inkpots, revealing that learning and literacy were highly valued. Wealthy citizens and scholars kept private collections, while public spaces allowed access to texts for those seeking knowledge, debate, or entertainment. The library findings are fascinating. Scrolls of papyrus, some charred yet partially preserved, contained literature, poetry, and administrative records. Wax tablets show daily note, business accounts, and personal writings. Together, they illustrate the intellectual life of Pompeii, showing that citizens engaged in reading, writing, and scholarship much like we do today. Even graffiti around libraries hints at literary culture, with quotations, jokes, and critiques etched on walls. The presence of libraries highlights the blending of Greek and Roman traditions, emphasizing philosophy, education, and civic responsibility. These discoveries remind us that Pompeii was a city of minds as well as muscles. Between gladiators, bakers, and politicians, people read, wrote, and shared ideas. Libraries and writing tools give a tangible sense of learning in daily life, proving that even under the shadow of a volcano, curiosity and knowledge flourished. frozen, but not forgotten. 4. The slave quarters. Life in Pompeii wasn't equal, and slave quarters reveal the often overlooked lives of the city's laboring population. Archaeologists discovered cramped rooms, simple furnishings, and signs of daily work, offering a glimpse into the lives of those who kept the city running behind the scenes. Slaves lived in small, functional spaces attached to villas or workshops. Archaeological evidence shows basic bedding, cooking tools, and storage areas. Despite limited comfort, some quarters contained personal items like oil lamps, small figurines, or tokens, hinting at personal identity, beliefs, and moments of privacy, even under harsh conditions. The slave quarters also highlight social hierarchy and urban planning. Their proximity to kitchens, gardens, or workshops demonstrates the roles slaves played in maintaining wealthier households and businesses. Studying these spaces gives insight into labor, economy, and daily routines of Pompeii's lower classes. By exploring these humble rooms, we see the full spectrum of city life, not just the wealthy elite, gladiators, or entertainers. Slave quarters are a powerful reminder that behind the grandeur and spectacle of Pompeii, ordinary people lived, worked, and endured, frozen in time, leaving silent yet vivid testimony of their lives. 3. Hidden streets and alleyways. Beneath the ash, archaeologists have uncovered hidden streets and alleyways that reveal Pompeii's intricate urban planning. Twisting paths, narrow lanes, and secret passageways connected homes, shops, and public spaces, showing how Romans navigated crowded neighborhoods efficiently. Some alleyways were too narrow for carts, suggesting pedestrian use or private access. Others connected hidden courtyards, storage areas, or small workshops. The layout illustrates a mix of functionality and privacy, balancing public access with private spaces. Stairs, drainage systems, and small doorways show careful planning to handle water flow and urban density. Hidden streets also reveal stories of everyday life. Graffiti marks, discarded pottery, and traces of commerce hint at where people socialized, traded, or relaxed. Exploring these alleys gives a sense of intimacy and discovery, walking through spaces that were once bustling yet are now silent and frozen. These streets remind us that Pompeii wasn't just grand villas and theaters. It was a living, breathing city with corners full of secrets. Each alleyway is a snapshot of daily routines, hidden adventures, and lives intertwined, preserved for millennia under Vesuvius's ash. But Pompeii's secrets aren't just in homes and streets. Some of its most haunting stories are frozen in people's final moments, jewelry, and tiny treasures waiting to be uncovered. 2. The plaster cast of lovers or families. One of the most emotional discoveries in Pompeii is the plaster casts of people frozen in their final moments, sometimes huddled as families, sometimes clutching a loved one. When the ash hardened around their bodies, it left voids that archaeologists later filled with plaster, preserving the shapes of their last gestures. Walking past these casts is both haunting and deeply human, a chilling snapshot of life interrupted. Some casts show individuals alone, curled into defensive positions, while others depict intimate moments, couples embracing or parents protecting children. These forms give us a rare, tangible connection to people who lived, laughed, and faced fear nearly 2,000 years ago. Unlike skeletons, the casts capture posture, clothing folds, and even expressions, offering a uniquely human perspective. The plaster casts also teach scientists about health, age, and physical conditions of Pompeii's population. They reveal stories of ordinary life, young and old, rich and poor, brave or terrified, caught in an instant of history. These discoveries are haunting, but they're also a reminder that history is personal. Behind every street, villa, and marketplace, real people once lived. The plaster casts of lovers and families make Pompeii's tragedy intimate, transforming ruins into emotional time capsules of humanity frozen under ash. 1. Ancient jewelry and coins. Pompeii was a city of wealth, trade, and style, and archaeologists have uncovered ancient jewelry and coins that tell stories of status, commerce, and personal taste. From rings and necklaces to bracelets and hairpins, these artifacts reveal what people valued and how they expressed identity. Coins, often found in homes, shops, and hidden caches, show trade networks and the economy of Pompeii. Many carry inscriptions and images of emperors, gods, or symbols of good fortune, hinting at both civic pride and superstition. Jewelry provides insight into fashion trends, social hierarchy, and craftsmanship, from simple iron rings to elaborate gold pieces adorned with gemstones. These treasures also tell personal stories. Some were gifts, heirlooms, or protective charms. Others were buried or hidden in panic during the eruption, offering archaeologists clues about fear, preparation, and sudden disruption. Together, jewelry and coins highlight a city alive with commerce, art, and daily rituals. They show that Pompeians cared about beauty, value, and personal expression. Even under layers of ash, these small objects preserve vivid glimpses of human life, reminding us that people once held, wore, and treasured them, just like we do today. Remembering the darkest day in Pompeii. It started like any other day in 79 AD. The streets of Pompeii were alive with activity. Merchants shouted over the hum of busy markets, children played near fountains, and bakers carried fresh loaves from the ovens. The air smelled of herbs, baked bread, and the salty breeze from the nearby Bay of Naples. Little did anyone know this ordinary day would become the darkest day in the city's history. Mount Vesuvius, the giant volcano looming in the distance, had been quiet for centuries. Suddenly, without warning, the ground began to tremble. At first, people thought it was a minor earthquake. Shops shook, pots rattled, and dogs barked wildly. Then the sky darkened. A massive cloud of ash and smoke poured from the mountain, blotting out the sun and turning midday into a surreal twilight. Panic rippled through the streets. Citizens froze, unsure where to run, while some bravely tried to flee toward the sea. As the eruption intensified, hot pumice stones and molten rock rained down, roofs collapsed, streets filled with debris, and the air became nearly impossible to breathe. People sought shelter, huddling in homes or running blindly through alleys, but the city's familiar paths had become deadly traps. Those caught outside were buried almost instantly under a thick, choking blanket of ash. Others fell victim to toxic gases that surged through the street. Families clutched each other, merchants abandoned stalls, and pets scampered desperately before succumbing to the heat and ash. Some turned to the Forum and Amphitheater, hoping for safety in open spaces, only to find them filled with falling stones and swirling smoke. Even the city's strong walls and stone structures couldn't protect its residents from nature's fury. The eruption lasted for hours, turning Pompeii into a scene of chaos and terror. By the time the ash settled, the city was completely frozen in time. Streets were covered in gray powder, homes were cracked and smoldering, and the last moments of life were etched into every corner, from a mother clutching her child to a baker frozen beside a counter of untouched bread. Pets, citizens, and gladiators alike were trapped in an eternal, silent tableau. Yet, even in tragedy, Pompeii's story is also one of preservation. The volcanic ash, terrifying as it was, captured life in extraordinary detail. When archaeologists uncovered the city centuries later, they found streets, frescoes, food, and bodies preserved as if the eruption had pressed pause on history. The disaster immortalized daily life, revealing everything from wealth and culture to fear and survival instincts. The darkest day of Pompeii was horrifying, heartbreaking, and catastrophic, but it also created a window into the past. Through tragedy, we can witness the city's vibrant life, the courage and despair of its people, and the enduring imprint of a day when nature's power transformed a bustling Roman city into a ghostly time capsule, A chilling, unforgettable reminder that even ordinary days can change in an instant. Pompeii is more than ruins. It's a time capsule of life, love, and survival. Beneath the ash, the city speaks across millennia, reminding us that history is alive, waiting to be explored and remembered. Thanks for exploring Pompeii's secrets with us. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join us for more incredible stories from the past.